aujourd'hui, nous sommes avec Yoven Mooroven, CEO of Asia Pacific and Global Head of LNG at Engie. We're speaking two different languages, so this is how the interview is going to take place. Thank you so much, Yoven, to share your time with us and to share a little bit more about you. Today, we're speaking about Yoven, your experiences, your life, how it went through Africa to Europe and further. And we're very much interested to learn more about you. Africa 50 is basically a digital platform which brings together different stakeholders such as investors, entrepreneurs, university, Africa diaspora, European governments, and institutions who are willing to connect to the infinite potential of our African continent. Yoven, welcome. How are you doing today?
Good. Hi, Katja. Good. And thanks for the opportunity to actually speak with you and also give you a bit of insight of who I am. So looking forward to it.
Thank you. So the first question, very easy, is just, Yoven, could you please tell us a little bit more about you? Where are you from and where did you grow up?
I come from Mauritius Island, a small island on the east coast of Africa, roughly around 1 million people. So I grew up there, until I was 19 years old. So my ancestors actually come from southern of India, during the colonization era, landed in Mauritius, and then my family is still there. And when I was 19, actually, I moved to France and to study, and here I am. I got stuck here and in Europe and having traveled a bit internationally, worked so I still call Mauritius home.
Ouais, merci Yoven aussi de ma part, parce que ça nous fait plaisir de t'avoir avec nous et de partager ton expérience avec toute la communauté Africa 50. Mais tu dis tantôt que tu es de l'île Maurice, tu as grandi là-bas, tu es arrivé en France, tu parles de l'âge de 19 ans. Lorsque tu arrives en France, pourquoi tu vas en France? Est-ce que tu peux expliquer les raisons qui t'emmènent vers la France? Et certainement, je ne sais pas si c'est pour les études ou autre chose, mais dis-nous un peu ce qui t'emmène en France et comment tu vis tes premiers temps en France, partir de l'île Maurice, comme tu dis, petite ville de 1 million d'habitants pour la grande métropole.
Look, it's a long journey, right? It's like why France? I would say not a lot of choice when you come from the type of environment, the country. Mauritius has a very competitive, obviously used to have, hopefully it's still the same, but very competitive education system. So the best get out, and because human capital is important for the country. Limited amount of space in university also in Mauritius. Very often you'll go to university with the same people whom you've gone to school, and obviously you want to go out to learn new things. So when it came to me, obviously, I applied. You apply like anyone who gets out of the A levels. You apply to anywhere you can, right? So I could have gone to Singapore. I could, have gone to the UK, to the US, or India or France. So the decision was driven by a number of factors. Financially, right? What was feasible? So it wasn't feasible for me and my family at that time to go anywhere where we had to pay the tuition fees. Really not possible, right? That's a reality of things. And the other thing is, and then you look at the constraint of, do you prefer to go to Europe or Asia? It was quite divided, right? So in terms of where to go, I was quite attracted by the Singaporean university, like Nanyang, like a place, to instead of in France. But in the end, when you're from Mauritius, people see Europe. I don't know whether it's still the case, but at least at that time, Europe is El Dorado, or, you know, like this is where you make it and you get around. So I followed that, you know, that intuition and, you know, guided by my parents. And the choice of France and the choice of Bordeaux was really driven by the fact of you don't want to be alone, right? And it simply came that my best friend, you know, who actually is in the UK and worked, you know, in one of the major banks, and he was going to Bordeaux. So, and I was like, okay, and of course you look at, okay, what do you want to study? And what I wanted to study was, you know, I couldn't get it in Mauritius, and I could get it in the UK, too expensive for this. So that's how it arrived, and arriving in France was a tough one because, you know, I speak very well French, but at that time you study French, you're fluent, but it's not the same thing, right? So I think there is a bit of this language of the way you adapt. The cold weather, God, you know, the show it was. I don't know whether you remind of how it is, but you know, you're used to having tropical temperatures. When it's cold in Mauritius, it probably goes 19 degrees, right? So you arrive in a country already September, October, temperatures start getting a bit below 10. So you're not equipped, right, in terms of, you know, similar things. So you go to things, you are in a country where you need to make friends, but it takes time. People are very different. You end up choosing the wrong place to live or too far. The challenges, you know, and then you realize like, okay, I got a lot of support from my parents, but you realize also, okay, fine, this is not going to be enough. You know, you need to start thinking about how you work, how do you finance, and also the language. I did everything in English in Mauritius, right? I went to state school, and then to switch that thing about, okay, everything is in French. The representation of how you do things is very different culturally. A lot of adaptation. Yeah, it's a tough one, and yeah, you know, 10,000 kilometers from home, you can't, you know, you can't say, hey, I'm going home, I'm going to, you know, my mom is gonna be here making some food for me, and you know, and I'm gonna be having a chat with her and explaining to her what's gone during the day. No, you are on your own. So it was a tough one, but you know what? You come out really, you know, when I look at it now, I would not give any of this away, right?
That's true.
This is what made me, and you know, and I worked during my studies. So I worked at night during the summer holidays. I used to work at some, you know, local hospital cleaning, 9 p.m. to 4 a.m. I did that also when I was studying. Yeah. I did a lot of jobs, right, here and there, works or some medical labs. But one thing was, whatever happened, I made it like a priority. I need to attend every single of my lectures. Because some people, you know, when you're young, I started working, you don't do it. This was something, even how tired I was probably sometimes sleepy, but I actually made it. I was like, because I wanted to know what was going on, and, you know, exam periods, you know, these are things of how you do things. And at the end, it's a great experience. I know what the value of things are, and, you know, you never forget where you come from. And that also helps you a bit to make choices later on. So,
definitely.
So yeah, so that's, you know, that's how it
That's
happened.
how it was. Yeah. Oh, very interesting. Thank you.
That's very nice. But anything particular you would like to advise to, I mean, those young people moving from Africa to Europe, arriving for the first time, back to your experience? Do you have something you would like to advise them, how to be in, how to take it?
Yeah, look, everyone is different in the way they are, in the, you know, in who you are. But I think one of the things I would say is never forget why you came here, right? So you got a lot of people who make it, you know, you say successful. What does success mean? Success means whether you're happy in what you do and you agree into the path you've taken. So I would say the advice is don't forget why you came here, right? Why did you come here? What is the purpose? And then from there you try to grow and grab more things. So a lot of people come for, to study. If you come to study, make it a priority to study, because this is going to give you, and then studying today comes in many forms, right? It just, it's just not university or having the highest degree, but it's like, there's a lot of forms. So make this a priority of why you're here. And then of course, there's going to be a lot of challenges. I come from, the background, and also my mindset is nothing is easy in life. Nothing is given to you. You need to work for it, right? And believe in yourself. You can do it, right? Keep going, and then sometimes you just have to accept that things are different, but never forget why you came in the first place. So I think that's one of the thing I reminded myself very often. It's been tough, right? I moved from Bordeaux to Paris afterwards. I were talking about it recently with someone. I think I sent like 33 applications to get an internship, right? Yeah. So, and there was a lot of the big banks in it, and I was, refused because I probably didn't have the right school at that time or whatever. But of course you're disappointed, but this is part of it, right? So I think the thing is, you often think people say, oh, it's because of that reason or this reason I didn't get it. I'm not lucky, because I hear that a lot. It's not a question about, you need to be in the right place, right time sometimes, but create your luck, right? So, and you could create your luck by try to create it and do everything that would actually create your luck. So that's a piece of advice I could give.
Excellent. Thank you. Very interesting. Actually, so interesting, because you were also in Bordeaux. I study also in Bordeaux, but when I came from Africa, I went to Strasbourg, which was even worse. Like arriving from Africa, it was like, no way I can wear gloves and no way I can wear those big shoes. For me, it was a big no. So I was constantly covered with t-shirts and everything, just because it was like a big no. But I get you. Yeah. So it brings us to the next question, which is, so we heard like the challenges that you were going through, and what was your first job, first of all, after your studies? And also, did you have at this time any type of coach or guide that was advising you with your career? Or were you already at this time looking for some external advice how to go in life and how to advance with your jobs, etc.? That would be interesting. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So look, no, I didn't have any coach or guidance. I mean, to be very honest about it. But I knew exactly what I wanted to study and do, right? So the thing is, I did maths, I did econometrics, because I was quite fond of statistics and maths, and then afterwards I specialized in finance and international trade, and through international trade I got to know the commodities market, which is a particular thing in France. There's two programs that was doing that. And I thought, oh, this is quite interesting. And at the same time, when I was getting out, there was a big story about Enron, what happened, and there was also the liberalization of the market. So it kind of came together, and I looked for a job as where I could use my skill as having done econometrics and data, asset management, and and commodities. Into at that time it was not as it is today. It was very few people, and I sent it through, and through actually looking for an internship, right? And through that internship it came that someone in SocGen had done the same studies, part of the previous students, and and it was sent like this, and I got picked up, and there was a JV between SocGen and Gaz de France at that time, which was Gas Elise, very newly formed company, and I got, you know, a call for an interview, and I went for that interview, and that was a life-changing moment for me, right? You know, very newbie, and you know, arriving. I did the interview with the two economists, Évariste Nuki, who is from Senegal, you know, historically, and then Virginie Haché at that time also. And, you know, good fit, a lot of questions. And then straightforward, I was asked to get an interview with someone else. And then afterwards, like, oh, can you come back? I was actually out of there. I was walking on the Champs-Élysées because I was in Paris, right? You know, let me go and walk there, right? So, and then I was looking, I got a phone call saying, oh yeah, can you come back at 7 o'clock or 7:30 to, you know, to have an interview with a CEO who was Edouard Neviaski, who is today my boss, right? Still, and you know, and you know, I arrived quite impressed by the guy. You know, he did another interview that talked very highly of himself, and quite impressed. And in the end, I was just the happiest guy around, right? But I didn't know. I mean, the thing for me was, I wanted to use my skills. I didn't have an idea. I wanted to work in markets because of everything that happened around Enron, because I studied, because I saw what was happening a bit in let's say, the energy space. I was quite attracted to metals at that time also. But in the end, for me, the priority was, when you look at these things, it's a bit dynamic. You're like, okay, really need to find an internship to validate your year, right? And that will give you opportunity. And again, you create a bit your own chance. And in the end, you know, it could have been I was not taken for, you know, for the job after the internship. And it was made clear to me that there was an opportunity to be hired and that job, but if it's internship, because I needed a work permit also, coming from Mauritius, you know, you get all these challenges, right? You know, you have to queue up at the prefecture, you know, at 6 o'clock in the morning to get your things. You know, yeah, these are. It happens to, you know, to everyone that has to do that. So it went through, and through that you know, you get good guidance. You work hard again. Why I was here. I wanted to work hard. I wanted to learn how to be smart, and I learned a lot. From, there was a lot of other interns. They came from very different backgrounds, schools, you know, and you pick up, right? You learn quickly, you learn fast, and you discuss with people. You have to put in the hours and the effort, right? Nobody's going to give it to you. So, and yeah, so that was my first job as a market economist. And afterwards, you know, I got employed by the company. I think 6 months later, I graduated, and then a year later, I started, you know, covering 4 clients with the sales desk, and then very soon I was like, yeah, I want to be, if there's an opportunity to go and do front office, I will do it. And then it was, okay, where was my strength? You start as a junior, and you know, we've all done it, and yeah, you just keep on learning, and you add things, and you're diligent into what you do. So and then afterwards, you know, yeah, things move on, and I moved from the company also, and you know, I wanted to go to London. Look, yeah, I wanted to go to London. I wanted to be in the city to work, and you know, I'm very happy I had this experience, and from there, you grow, and you take opportunities, and you make something out of it.
Yeah. No, you have an amazing parcours. I mean, I must say, really, like going from different companies, gathering those experiences. I urge anyone who is listening to us to go and have a look what Yoven went through actually to be now with Engie. Yeah, that's very interesting. Thank you.
Ouais, c'est vrai que c'est un parcours excellent, Yoven. Je crois qu'aujourd'hui, tu es dans le top management d'Engie et responsable, on dira comment en français, d'autres diront même PDG, quoi. DG, PDG Asie Pacifique. Et puis, bon, tu as travaillé aussi pendant longtemps en Afrique comme PDG. Et on connaît un peu Monsieur Afrique au niveau de l'énergie. Et bon, tu as certainement eu de bonnes sensations, tu as eu à rencontrer du beau monde. Ce serait un peu intéressant en fait, de nous expliquer, en fait, de partager avec la communauté qui nous suit le temps que tu as passé en Afrique. Qu'est-ce que tu as ressenti? Qu'est-ce que tu as vu? Est-ce qu'il y a des choses qu'on pourrait, à ton avis, améliorer? Nous donnons un peu des exemples pratiques, surtout qu'on sait que l'énergie, c'est un problème difficile en Afrique. Ouais.
Oui, bah, merci Richard pour cette question. So I'd say, look, well, first thing is, lot of opportunities, and whatever positions I have been, even working in bank, you always look at Africa as a land of opportunity, right? So very, very important in anything you do, right? So I always had this on the back of my mind of how do you make business there, right? So and in the end, it took me a long time to go and do business in Africa myself. So I had to acquire this experience. I was an international person in trading in Engie, before I was in Macquarie covering, Europe, Middle East, and part of Africa. I was not doing so much, but the thing was, in Engie, I was in global energy management, where I was even before I was covering the international sector. So develop everything outside of Europe, global commodities, and we talk about commodities as Africa. But when the opportunity came to say, hey, be the DG Afrique, be the Engie Africa person, I was like, look, this is a great opportunity for me to make something, and probably try to make something which was difficult, because it's not an easy place to do business. And I loved it, and I loved the time there. I loved the challenge. It was very difficult, but every day I was really happy turning up to work and saying, okay, because on top of doing what you have to do, right, in terms of building your business, having a sustainable business, growing, managing people, making people grow, you have an impact on the life of people in whatever you do, right? Whether it's the simplest, solar panel you're installing, to developing a big power plant, it has impact on, jobs, on quality of life, on the energy access, and it's creating wealth for the economy in the end. So what I learned of Africa is, yes, it's a land of opportunity. That's one thing. Patience is a virtue to happiness. I used to say that for some other places in Asia, but actually it is the case in Africa. Anyone that comes in and say, hey, yeah, I've done this elsewhere, it takes 3 years, I don't get it, you get it wrong, right? When I say patience is a virtue to happiness, like, Africa is just different. Whenever we talk about innovation, technology, everything is developed quite a lot across the world, because people want to be innovative. I'm going to do. In Africa, there is no choice. So people have to do it. So it's a fantastic incubator for new things. So, but you need time, patience to get it right. So that's something which I learned a lot. Fantastic people. The mentality is to do. I came through the thing, right, through my time, and I don't get put off by this, but I did came. This guy is from Mauritius, he's cool, right? He works 9 to 5, and very often, you're in Africa, he takes it easy. Yeah, we're easy, right? I mean, yeah, it's the question of culture, but it doesn't mean people are not working hard and making things happen. So I was like, and having spent so much time, we go back to like, okay, how is it going to work? Like anywhere else, it's about how you motivate people, how you get them, but they do go that extra mile to try and make things work. So So I'd say again, now I talk about this land of opportunity. It's great to have been able to go, and there's so many things to still be done. And you know, I don't know, thousands, millions of different cultures, and you have to know how to navigate across them. And the big subject of Africa growing is it's really you know, infrastructure, access to infrastructure, energy, health, education. These are the main, you know, I would say, subjects, right, to be tackled across all African countries. Everyone is doing it differently. What I see also is there's a new wave of who is taking over in Africa, which is going to come. People talk about modernization. No, it's just like, it's just a change in time about having different people looking at subjects differently from you know, where it came from, again, you know, because of the history of how these countries were occupied, etc. So good to do business. You need to do business within a certain framework, decide what to do, what not to do. People is what make it, you know. And you talk about energy access, you know, I've been quite involved in that, with 600 million people not having access to electricity is decreasing. It's just great to see how many of these innovative ideas started in Africa, and that can be used as well. So great place.
Thank you. No, it's interesting, of course, like looking at from the perspective of the responsible of Engie to Africa, obviously. And actually, after these 2 years that you spent in this role on the continent, in a certain way, coming back to the continent, what were your thoughts looking at the young entrepreneurial generation? Did you have the impression that they're well prepared? And do you think that there are any kind of tools that are still missed on the continent to support and encourage this entrepreneurial spirit that basically the whole continent is living with?
Mm-hmm. Look, interesting question, Katya. So the thing is, I would say, are they prepared, or is anyone prepared? No, right? Whether, you know, when you go on an entrepreneurial journey, wherever you are, right, it's a tough one. You get to see things you've never seen in before, and you get challenges how to do it. But in the context of Africa, I think there needs to be a lot of support and guidance. You know, people, a lot of them succeed because locally they try to do it, and they get a lot of, you know, what they're trying to do, and, you know, the product become viable. But there's a lot of support in terms of the guidance they need to make it big, right? Financially, you know, there is not enough, let's say, there's money being put, but there's not a platform that says, hey, you know, like in Europe, like elsewhere, like, hey, this is a platform that exists, and we're going to incubate them, and we're going to give the chance, and we're going to scale it up. So I think there lacks a lot to do, and, you know, the product become viable, but there's a lot of support in terms of the guidance they need to make it big, right? Financially, you know, there is not enough, let's say, there's money being put, but there's not a platform that says, hey, you know, like in Europe, like elsewhere, like, hey, this is a platform that exists, and we're going to incubate them, and we're going to give the chance, and we're going to scale it up. So I think there lacks a lot of tools about, okay, how do you become an entrepreneur, right? So a lot of people are self-made. These are, you know, this is what an entrepreneur is about also. But the thing is, yeah, there's a lack of guidance, financial backing, and also I think there is this thing about, you know, there's a lot of opportunities within Africa itself, right? Businesses being developed, products being upscaled. Very often, it's just making these people realize, these young people, like, don't look Europe, don't look outside, right? Within the whole continent, this is where the market is, right? And that's the thing is like, I had, I was one of these countries and talking to, quite a lot of people that was, kind of function about top CEOs or different countries. And they were all like, oh yeah, we're going to develop and export it through. And I was like, no, the market is here, right? The market is, you look at the telecom sector, the market is in Africa, right? It's, yeah, I mean, every household in Europe will renew their phone or they would add a phone. In Africa, we're talking about how many people and how many of them, this is their tool, right? Digital, right? Mobile money. And tomorrow, and every African will have 2 phones, just to say it like this. This is where the market is, right? And anything that is developed is like, do you developing it to the local market, or are you trying to scale it and go out? So what I would say is like, this is what I call a bit of guidance structure of how to make this work. So and then of course financially,
Yeah.
I think, yeah, I was saying like, yeah, you need a lot of guidance of just to guide these people and encourage them that it is okay actually to try. It is okay to think only locally and to think about the fact that you can make it big in Africa itself, right?
Yeah.
I don't think there is a fear of failure like you have elsewhere. Sometimes in some cultures, because you need to try that. Like you very often don't have a choice, and so guidance and then support financially. I was saying I'm a big supporter of, yeah, putting more money into the continent to help a lot of these entrepreneurs to grow, right, and to make it so.
Cool.
Excellent. No, that's true. I mean, we need to encourage people. That's true. We need to provide the right tools for access to the capital. So to conclude, in 2050 in Africa, 60% of the population, which will be like 2 billion, just as a reminder, will be unemployed, and half of today's job will be digitalized. So the energy sector is still, let's say, as from what we heard, is still in the process of being developed in Africa. Do you think it's worth not only basically investing in the infrastructure, but also educating this young, or just this generation of people, which is now like the working generation of people as well? What would be your advice? And also, like, would you be ready to share your experience? Because experience is extremely, it's a gold, like somebody sharing with us. So that's the final question.
Yeah. Okay. Look, I think it kind of recoup with what I was saying a bit before, right? The challenges of Africa. It's energy, infrastructure, education, health. When you look at it, yeah, the population is gonna double, right? In the next decade. The need for energy is gonna be even more. The need for health, the need for education. The types of job are going to be different. It's not only Africa that will have it, but I think Africa probably comes from a way of, people might think I'm crazy, being at an advantage because you can define, okay, what type of education do you want to get people to go towards? What do you want to learn? And it makes sense. Education is a big subject, right? And it's probably political also. How do you deploy it through technology as much as, people made it for energy, having access really decentralized, really, through technology. I think education has to take the same path, right? So we've seen a lot of startups trying to decentralized education, having specific tablets for people to be learning, and I think, yeah, and more schools popping up because they have access to infrastructure, to energy, to be able to do that. yes, is the educational system needs to change. Absolutely, it has to be adapted to what's next. I'm someone who is less worried about the fact of how the world move and going into the digital era, right? Because contrary to what people say, and I'm afraid of my job, digitalization creates much more and many more jobs than without digitalization. It's just a question of profile, right? So I think when you look at it through time, yeah, profile of sectors change, profile of people and the need of the different people, it's just different. So I think it's an opportunity there of cost opportunity, and that okay, it has got time to actually prepare with a young population, right? Never forget about this. It's a young population that can bring that can come up and make a difference, and learn what is the future, right? Don't learn what is past. It's always important, very important to know where you come from and know about the past. History always repeats itself in some ways, but this is a population that can actually be prepared for the future with the means that is present, right? I think we cannot discount the fact it's not the same means, but the thing is, yeah, I think that's what I think. It's going to be a challenge. There's like a lot of other challenges in terms, they talk about infrastructure, energy, big need. Today, energy has an impact on the economic development, right? Economic development, and there's more resources for education, health. The way population is going to live, and the cities, how they're going to be structured, how they're going to be organized. I think there's all these questions that's going to come through, and it gives a lot of opportunities for people who wants to create something, make business, and and participate into that economy, into that region. So.
Non, mais ça, c'est une bonne conclusion. Moi, je dis toujours que, en fait, la digitalisation et l'énergie, ça va un peu de pair. Parce qu'ensemble, s'il n'y a pas d'énergie, vous allez être derrière. Vous allez consommer beaucoup de smartphones, beaucoup, je ne sais pas moi, tout ce qui passe. Mais comment vous allez les recharger? Comment vous allez les utiliser? C'est pour ça qu'il faut à tout prix qu'on essaye de faire comprendre aux gens qu'on a besoin de cette énergie. Parce que sinon, on va rester derrière. On est jeune, on veut faire des choses, mais on n'avance pas parce qu'il n'y a pas d'infrastructure au niveau de l'énergie. Donc, quelque part, une éducation dans ce secteur ne devrait pas s'oublier. Il ne faudrait pas que les gens apprennent seulement à consommer. Il faudrait aussi qu'ils savent que si j'ai un smartphone, il faut bien que j'ai du courant électrique chez moi pour pouvoir le charger après. Il faut bien que ça fonctionne quelque part, mettre les raccordés et tout ça. Parce que sinon, même le petit entrepreneur qui voudra développer ce produit, s'il y a après 2 heures de temps une coupure d'électricité, il ne va pas avancer. Alors, je crois que c'est une bonne chose de savoir que lors de ton passage aussi en Afrique, tu as su déployer un peu toute cette décentralisation. Et ça fera naturellement à tout ce qui nous suit, la communauté. Je crois que c'est aussi un appel. Tout le monde qui est là. L'énergie au développement d'un pays, ce n'est pas seulement une affaire du gouvernement, c'est une affaire de tout le monde, quoi, que tout Africain se sente impliqué là où il se trouve. Merci bien, Yoven, pour cette interview.
Et moi, Richard, merci d'avoir eu l'opportunité.
Merci beaucoup, oui, de partager le temps, de partager ton énergie, de partager l'expérience. Et puis, oui, d'encourager toutes ces personnes qui nous regardent et qui feront partie de la communauté Africa 50 de réellement pouvoir avoir accès à l'expérience de personnes comme toi qui sont passées par beaucoup de choses et qui sont arrivées on the top. Yeah.
C'est vrai.
Merci beaucoup.